On February 23rd, Pastor Charles Brower came to worship both of our services and shared his testimony and his story, being a Native American youth who was sent to a boarding school and then relocated from his family. He shared about some of the harm of that experience, the isolation and the disruption in the family system, not just a nuclear unit, but generations of family systems because of the boarding schools and the roots and the biases that provoked them and prompted them and justified them for generations. And so as part of that, after Pastor Charlie shared, I had several people share with me, I grew up near a boarding school and I had no idea about it. It was just a school, we thought. We thought they were just other students and we didn't always intermingle. We might see them here and there, but we didn't really understand the nature of being taken away from their families, the isolation, the limitations, let alone the abuses, not being able to use their given name, not being able to speak their native tongue, not being able to share their traditions and their history and their story. I had no idea. These folks are feeling brokenhearted and some a bit of embarrassment and shame of how did I not know? And in conversation, part of it is that we weren't taught to know. We weren't being encouraged to ask questions. We weren't being challenged. We weren't being encouraged to challenge those norms or those systems or those assumptions about who Native American persons were or what their family systems were doing to them. Generally, we were assuming, we collectively, white people, were assuming negative things, but not understanding the actual roots of who they were, their identity, their stories, their personhood. And in that, there's now what? Now what do I do? I didn't know, and those schools don't exist now, but what do I do? How do I sort of redeem that part of the story? What is my responsibility now? And I'd say there's lots of ways for us to think about that. Maybe it's in seeking out other stories. We have a couple of recommendations of books to read where survivors have shared their stories. I think often as a privileged class, a privileged group of people, we want to hear the stories. We're curious, we're earnest, we're interested. And tell me what was it like to experience that kind of racism? Tell me what was it like to be separated from your family? Tell me what was it like to be in the schools? And I want to affirm our curiosity and our willingness to hear. I also want to caution us because those questions can create a sort of objectivity, almost a voyeurism, like, ooh, tell me about how awful that was. But really, it's not the victim's job to educate us about the awfulness. Many are able to be courageous and brave and do that for the other, us being the other, white people as the other, but not everyone can, and I don't think it's fair for us to have an expectation that that's what their job is. There are people who have written the stories. There are people who have shared them verbally, and it's our job to seek learning and understanding, and also ask the question of what is our responsibility now? How do we make amends or repairs often for things we didn't even know about or things we didn't participate in, but were happening around us and maybe sort of from our culture, our people group? I think it's important that we think about what our responsibilities are to the broader culture and to specific people groups so that we can begin offering some healing ointment, some holy listening, so that we might further the possibilities of healing. Take care, friends.